and welcome to Carlaw Park in Auckland for the first of two home and away matches between Australia and New Zealand. There's been unprecedented interest in this match. All stand seats were sold well in advance. There's standing room only. This is filling rapidly, and I would estimate a crowd of around about 25,000 this afternoon. And I would say the crowd, to a man, believe that the Kiwis have the players with the ability and the confidence to beat the Australians this afternoon. And this, remember, is something they haven't done for 12 years. It's being billed at times as the test of the century, and a match which could be the most explosive and most exciting in the history of the game for the last 50 years. For that, we'll have to wait and see. Well, there's action out on centre field, so let's go to our commentator, Tony Palmer, and he's joined for comments by a man who was regarded in his time as the best referee in the world, in John Percival.
Thank you, Doug, and good afternoon from Carlaw Park, which is in extremely good condition considering the rain that we've had this week. There's a fine sunny sky overhead. Conditions will be excellent for Test match rugby league. It's not too warm, but it's not too cold either. The ground may be a little slippery on top, but will be very, very firm underneath. Perhaps they'll lose a yard of pace, but not a great deal. Looking firstly at the Kiwi side, three new men in there, 20, 21 and 22 respectively. Young Dean Bell on his 21st birthday found out he'd been picked for the Kiwi side. Ron O'Regan comes in, having played brilliantly for Auckland this year. He's 22 years old. He'll be playing in the centres. And Joel Ropati has been brought in to replace the injured Dane O'Hara, and he is just 20 years old, and he'll be marking Eric Grothe, the big Australian winger, this afternoon. Just having a look at some of the key players in this Kiwi side that most of the crowd have come to accept as winners. Mark Graham, 26 years old, 6'3", 14 stone 7, playing his 17th test. Kurt Sorensen, back from Cronulla Club, 5'10½", 16 stone, playing in his 6th test. His older brother, Dane Sorensen, 27 years old, 5'10½", 15 stone 4, playing in his 8th test. And the man linking the back line, Fred Arcoit, standoff, 26 years old, 5'11", 12 stone 7, playing in his 19th test for New Zealand. Let's have a look at the people that they are facing. The great Australian team, unbeaten in 15 consecutive test matches. This Australian side is full of stars, but one or two new men in there. Wally Fullerton-Smith making his debut. Mostly the Manly side and the two reserves also making their debut this afternoon if they get a chance to play, but mostly the Manly test pack for Australia. Looking at some of their key players, there's the captain, Max Krilic, 34 years old, 5'9", 13 stone 3, playing in his 11th test for Australia. A man almost a legend in his own time, Steve Rogers, 30 years old now, 5'11", 13 stone 7, playing in his 19th test. The link man in the backs, Wally Lewis, 23 years old, the Queenslander, 5'11", 14 stone 7, playing in his 6th test. And Gary Bowstead, the little fiery winger, very, very fast indeed, 23, 5'8", 11 stone 7, in his 15th test for Australia this afternoon. Well, what a game it's going to be, John Percival.
It's the biggest game we've seen at Carlaw Park for 25 years. I've never seen such a crowd, and I've never seen such enthusiasm in the New Zealand camp. And I've never seen New Zealand put in a whole team of professionals before. So it's professional versus professional today. So it's not for the faint heart at all down here. It'll be 80 minutes of torrid football, with the Kiwis looking for their first win over Australia, in any case, for the last 12 years. If we're going to do it, I feel we're going to do it today.
Just looking at some interesting, but perhaps trivial comparisons between the two teams. Taking an average, the Australians average 24.8 years old, 5'10½" in height, 14 stone in weight, and their experience is 6.3 tests. Give you the New Zealanders in a minute just after the haka, being led by Howie Tamati, the hooker. And this New Zealand side in comparison, 26 years old on average, 5'11½" in height, 13 stone 4, and with 9.2 tests on average between them. The referee, Mr. Robin Whitfield, 39 years old, from Widnes in England, the mecca of rugby league, and a man who has quite a history behind him in terms of refereeing. In the last 6 months, he's had 2 test matches between Australia and France. He had the Wembley final, and he was referee of the year in England. Very colourful man, very boisterous with his hand signals, and expecting the best game, he says, the best game in 20 years this afternoon at Carlaw Park between two of the fastest, fittest sides in the world. Mel Meninga starting. Well, we're expecting a torrid match right from the start. The tackling's going to be hard. Australia's strength has always been their defence and their ability to turn defence into attack.
Offside, Australian back line. He's caught them all offside right from the start. Penalty to New Zealand. Then they weren't back 5 yards and the referee is signalling as such. They must stay back 5 yards.
Gary Campbell for the line. Hasn't found it. Well, a good tackle and Australia lose possession. So the Kiwis onto attack. Dane Sorensen. One of the two Sorensen brothers that the Australians will be looking to tackle out of the game early if they can. Mark Graham. Hard tackling, he loses the ball in the tackle. Australia with 6 tackles in hand. Dave Brown, the big 17-stone prop.
Same penalty against New Zealand, not 5 yards, the referee says. He wants room for them to work in, both these teams. If he gets it, of course, we'll get a real spectacular game. Shot for goal.
Mel Meninga's going to have a shot. 40 metres out, straight in front. Mel Meninga with an amazing kicking record. Played a very hard game on Tuesday night in the State of Origin match, as did many of these players, to get their test place. The team was picked immediately after that match. Mel Meninga finished with blood streaming down from one eye and looking very battered and worn, but he's a hard fellow. 16 stone, 6'1" policeman from Queensland. Works as a public relations officer for the Queensland Police. Of Aboriginal descent. Crowd a little unsporting, but the points are there and Australia are on the board already with 2 minutes gone in the test match.
Well, New Zealand's got to realise they can't give penalties away if a man can kick that distance. He cleared the bar by a good 15 yards, so that's a 55-metre kick. New Zealand is trying to cause a little bit of confusion from this kick-off again from halfway. They've made the Australian forward switch. Campbell placing the ball, Gary Campbell.
6'2", 13 stone 7, made his debut for New Zealand in 1980 against Great Britain. He's in his 4th test, plays for Hull. Gary Campbell. Meninga it is who receives. A bit of a kicking duel, and it's Campbell again, running in as he loves to do in the back line.
There he goes again, the referee. Again, Australia have infringed the 5-metre rule. Now, this time it's within kicking distance for New Zealand. We'll see what they're going to do.
Well,
they're about 35 yards.
Is the kicker at goal. He hasn't had a terribly impressive record of late in terms of kicking, but he was out here yesterday morning on this park and he was slotting them over as if they were very easy indeed.
In actual fact, he is the kicker for Cronulla Sutherland in Sydney and has been all this season because Steve Rogers, the Australian centre, transferred to St George. So Dane has had a lot more practice this year than he has in past years.
While he lines up the kick, it's Gary Campbell receiving attention. So a chance to equalise for Dane O'Hara, and he's away out left. Australia still with a 2-point margin. A kick from Brentnell. And Dean Bell into the game for the first time. Man has had a brilliant season for Auckland and really played his way into this side. Howie Tamati. Gordon Smith flicking it on. Mark Graham up there, number 11, the captain. Gary Prone. Hull Kingston Rovers and formerly New Zealand Test winger, now playing lock forward. Mark Broadhurst.
Just keeps taking it up, Broady. He'll do that all day.
Fred Arcoy in a little double around. Didn't make them a lot of ground, but the Kiwis are certainly looking confident.
There's a 6 tackle on New Zealand. They've got to give the ball to Australia automatically to replay the ball. They're caught in 6 tackles.
Under the new regulations, it's almost unforgivable to be caught in a 6 tackle because you give away possession immediately. Sterling. Morton running onto it.
Well, both sides aren't taking the referee's instructions, and both are not getting back 5 yards.
Gary Kemble is still limping. The replacement back, the reserve name is Shane Barley.
That stupid New Zealand play. Someone's chipped the referee. So he's naturally shifted the penalty up 10 yards. This referee wants full control of the game. He won't let the players control him.
Kurt Sorensen was the man he singled out.
There's the signal for the mouse, of course. So he won't take any lip from either side.
Greg Brentnell. It's a big kick. He makes 30-odd metres.
Kemble's going down.
I think Gary Kemble may be coming off. The replacement back, as we said, is Shane Varley, who's a halfback, so I don't know what they'll do with the back line. While the Australians running at Wally Lewis. Lewis gets the pass back, even in the tackle. Sterling flicks it on. Meninga. The Australians with a chance to ride up on attack here. Greg Brentnell. Got to be in with a chance. Sterling still going. Still looking to slip the pass away, and he gets it out to Steve Rogers. New Zealand players really needing to wrap up those tackles. Sterling again, looking to set something up. Howie Tamati hasn't, but he still gets the ball away. Dave Brown. Wally Fullerton-Smith, the Queensland man. Australians right on the line now. Gerard whips it out to Brentnell. Brentnell's well tackled. 3-on-1. First time we've seen Joe Ropati touch the ball, and that has got to be a try for Mal Meninga. No, it's not.
He is offside. He was in front of that little short kick from Peter Sterling, the halfback. It was a brilliant kick, really, but Meninga was in front of the man that kicked it, and the referee quite rightly has ruled offside and just saved New Zealand because Meninga was over.
Have a look at it again. Mal Meninga was just up too quickly. Peter Sterling, the little blonde-haired halfback, put the kick through, and as John said, a brilliant kick. Mal Meninga up there, but too fast. Robin Whitfield, the referee, right on the spot to see. And now New Zealand, let's see what they can do with their 6 tackles. Howie Tamati waiting. Dane Sorensen. Well, they're certainly true to their words. Prior to the match, the Australians said their first objective would be to tackle the Sorensens out of the game. Broadhurst, fumbling just a little, puts the kick up. Brentnell's back.
Varley's on the field, substitute back.
Good tackle from Joe Ropati.
That's the 2 big men that clashed. Eric Grove is the biggest winger in Australia. Young Joseph Ropati first test, and he crunched him.
Number 13's Paul McCabe. Normally a big second rower, with the 13 jersey on today.
Knock on by Australia. Loose head to New Zealand and put into New Zealand. First scrum of the match. Penalty to Australia. He doesn't like the way the New Zealand front row have packed, so the referee's given an immediate penalty. Robin Whitfield from England. Now he's signalling down on the ground for the hooker. He evidently wants the hooker to stand up, create the clear tunnel.
James Luluai has gone back to fullback. Shane Varley is playing halfback. Fullback's not a position unfamiliar to James Luluai. The Australians running it again. Grillage. Wally Smith in there. Going nowhere. Broadhurst attacking.
Well, the Kiwis are a little bit foolish at the moment. They're playing the best rugby league team in the world, and they're giving away some silly penalties just at the moment, right in front of the sticks.
Once again, this is easy meat for Mal Meninga to put a further 2 points on the board for Australia. 10 minutes gone, Australia leading New Zealand 2-0.
Well, the adrenaline must be running a little bit too hard in the Kiwis. They're far too eager, and the referee will just not brook anyone standing within the 5 metres from the play the ball movement.
A simple 2 points for Mal Meninga. 10 minutes gone, Australia leading 4-0.
Well, the Kiwis have got to keep on side. He's penalised them 3 times now. Also moved a penalty back once on the Kiwis, which is really a force for them disputing his decision. They've got to settle the Kiwis, otherwise they won't have any chance against Australia. Gary Kemble, of course, having left the field.
Peter Sterling puts it on. Brentler with the ball. Another big line kick. Not there, James Lillaway fumbles it.
The Australians are drawing him. Once he drops the ball, they can move within the 5 metres and they've regained possession.
So Australia right back on attack, as it were, racing up the paddock. Gary Prome's tackle was pretty close to being illegal.
Let's have a look at that tackle again.
Well, Robin Whitfield's allowed it to go. Let's have a look at it again.
Watch this tackle. Ooh, right up high. Just lodged the ball and all. Everything's fair in love and war in a test match.
Puts it out.
Of course, once they find the touch, they get the automatic tap kick.
See what the Kiwis can do with it now. Again, Kurt Sorensen coming in, running onto the ball on the inside and can't hold on to it. Seems to have been a problem for the Kiwis at this early stage. 11 minutes gone, and John, they don't seem to have settled yet.
They haven't settled at all. Looking scrum.
Shane Varley, number 14, the replacement. Hasn't been playing for his province this year, but named as a reserve in the test side. Wally Lewis well tackled by Gordon Smith, now playing standoff. Paul Morton up there, that's Mal Meninga. Tackled by Kurt Sorensen. Looking to run it very early on, the Australians still looking to fire it around as much as possible.
One Australian down in the background.
Sterling, a little chip. Can they gain possession again? The Kiwis can't hold it. They've got it now. Howie Tamati. Steve Rogers, the tackler. Gary Prome. Kiwis not making a great deal of headway. Looking for a gap. Dane Sorensen. They're tackling him hard. Broadhurst having a little go with Dave Brown. Mark Graham trying to find a way through. The Kiwis getting a little more determination now, but they've got to get it together. They've got to get fluency. Joe Ropati. No, it was Ron O'Regan coming in there that couldn't hold on to the ball.
2 knock-ons. One by New Zealand. He's giving New Zealand the advantage. As he signalled. Here comes the scrum.
Well, it would be understandable if Joe Ropati or Ron O'Regan or Dean Bell in their first test matches, first games at this level, were a little overawed by the company. They're playing the best in the world. Joe Ropati, just 20 years old. 6 foot and 15 stone. That's Kurt Sorensen.
A little bit of elbow maybe. Not a bad fin.
James Lillaway into the line. Dean Bell being well tackled out there by Eric Groth. No, Kerry Bosted, should we say.
Oh, he made him give the ball back. Bit unusual.
Broadhurst just looking to get that pass away and opts to take the tackle. Kiwis flicking it on, but making no progress, really.
No, the Australian tackling's very strong at the moment. Dutch has got to keep probing in this game. Don't give it away. There's a short kick.
Little kick up from Gordon Smith. Bosted can't hold on to it. Going to try and put it out. It's out.
Oh, there was a nervous speculator by the Australians. None of them wanted the ball. They could see the black jerseys coming up. I didn't think they wanted anything to do with it.
And probably the first obvious mistake we've seen from this Australian side so far. Shane Varley trying to urge the side on. Kerry Bosted was the man there, number 5, who managed to put the ball out. First piece of untidy play we've seen from this Kangaroo side. Shane Varley feeds. Gary Prime off the back. Gordon Smith waiting. Varley. Broadhurst. They're certainly tackling Broadhurst. Sorensen. Dane Sorensen. Well, at least the Kiwis are trying to run it. Gordon Smith trying to find a gap there. Fred Arcoy. Nowhere to go. Regan back inside to Kurt Sorensen. Sorensen gets the pass away nicely. Gordon Smith. Far better running from the Kiwis now. They're starting to put some things together.
Oh, they're firing now.
Varley in the line, the little chip. Grove can't keep it in.
Oh, my word. He bumbled that one. It was an easy take there at Grove, but that first tackle that Joe Rapati on him must have shaken him up a bit.
Well, that was the tactics. Joe Rapati up very quick on Eric Grove, who's a big man. Oh, there's the danger of Wally Lewis. Paul Vaughton still gets it out. Rogers. Meninga inside him. Rogers holds on.
Beautiful player, Steve Rogers. Beautifully balanced footballer.
Gerard out there. Australians still getting the pass out. Paul Vaughton.
Oh, it's good man-for-man tackling now.
Vaughton's another who had a superb match in the State of Origin game on Tuesday. Playing in only his second test.
Again, not 5 yards, says the referee. Mind you, I think he's getting back 10 a bit. I don't quite see it.
Yes, he seems to play the 5-yard rule somewhere between 7 and 10.
That's right, but of course the international law says 5 yards. I don't see why the players have to get back any further.
Now Australia again in an attacking position with 6 tackles in hand. Max Krillage. Rally his troops. See what they're going to do. Sterling. Noel Meninga. Hard man to stop. And still very close to getting the pass away. A lucky break for New Zealand. Mark Graham in there to pick it up. Varley flicks it on. Kurt Sorensen. James Luluwai.
There's the penalty. Holding on to Luluwai too long in the tackle. The law says when the tackle is made effective, you must release the man so he can play the ball. The Australians hung on a bit too long there, so the referee gave a penalty to the Kiwis.
Fred Arcoy with the kick. And he's been languishing in second division for North Sydney's. He's looking to run it again. Kurt Sorensen. There's a tackler there every time Kurt Sorensen even looks like getting the ball.
The Australian trait, of course, is for double tackling. That's their strong point. There's never one man just goes in, there's always 2.
Dane Sorensen looking to get that ball away again in the tackle. Gordon Smith flicking it on. And Dean Bell looking as determined as ever. Losing the ball in the tackle.
Well, he took the ball off him this time.
That's a little experience showing on behalf of his opposite number, Kerry Bosted. Jeff Gerard. That's Dave Brown.
Oh.
Dave Brown, a 17-stone prop, heaviest man on the Australian side. And Robin Whitfield obviously saw a little bit of what went on in that tackle.
No, he got them for offside again. No, he's sticking very harshly to the offside rule.
Flamboyant referee, Robin Whitfield, but he leaves very little doubt as to what his decision was.
Greg Brentle, the Australian fullback, actually practices in the off-season with a Australian rules side for the kicking art.
Australians looking to run it up straight away, take advantage of their position on the field, right up now on the 10-metre line. Sterling. Well tackled by Mark Graham. Certainly a dangerous position for the Kiwis, this is. Steve Rogers. Kiwi defence proving pretty good so far. Sterling. Brentnell up. They can't break it, the Australians, but they're going to keep trying. McCabe.
About the 5th tackle, last tackle coming up.
Sterling.
Here's the bomb.
Who's under that? Nobody wants to hold it. Pass up off the ground. Growth. Can they stop him? Eric Growth. Row party. Lulawai was there.
Pretty wild kick there by the Australians. I don't think they realised they were back to a no-count tackle because the Kiwis had actually knocked it forward. The referee was playing an advantage, so that kick wasn't really necessary by the Australians. And that's relieved the pressure for the Kiwis.
Broadhurst. Howie Tamati. The Sorensen brothers working together. The ball comes back.
No, lost ball in the tackle, the referee rules. So there's got to be a scrum with the loose head to Australia and the put in. They're only about 30 yards out from the Kiwi try line.
Peter Sterling. Australian halfback. Very quickly out of the line. Steve Rogers going back inside. They've got to tackle him. Gets the pass away to Sterling, back again. Well, just demonstrating how dangerous Steve Rogers can be in any line. Rogers again. Good tackling, Mark Graham. Brentnell didn't have a chance to move. Krilich. It's not very big, Max Krilich, but he keeps things going. Gerard trying to run it on his own. McCabe in there, and they lose it.
Possession to the Kiwis, only about 5 metres out from their try line, eh? They'll just run it up here.
Kurt Sorensen.
Big Kurt.
Taking a bit of putting down. Joe Roparty. Hasn't seen much of the ball so far.
He's showing great strength, though.
Dane Sorensen.
That's better. They've got them going back at the moment. There's another penalty to New Zealand. Australia not allowing the quick play the ball. That'll relieve the pressure a bit on the Kiwis.
Dane and Kurt Sorensen, both 5'10½". Dane's 15 stone 2 and Kurt is 16 stone. You stand beside them, you have some idea of how big they are. Fred Arcoy puts it out.
We are back in Australian territory.
Howie Tamati. Kurt Sorensen, and they were waiting for that.
He wasn't running onto the ball, actually, though. That's, you're a sitting duck if you're going to do that.
Howie Tamati. Kurt Sorensen waiting. Running onto the ball.
Now that's running onto it, of course.
Broadhurst still gets the pass back. Shane Varley flicking it on into the line. Mark Graham loses the ball. They've got it again, but knocked off.
Bad luck there from New Zealand. It was looking dangerous then. The holes were starting to open up, but slightly forward. Mark Graham was actually jolted in the tackle. The Australians are actually tackling machines, really.
Mark Graham starting to play out wide now.
Just a little bit.
James Luluai showing some of the speed he was famous for a few years ago. Ron O'Regan almost at the line. Ron O'Regan and the Kiwis starting to fire. Shane Varley flicks it out. Gordon Smith through Fred Arcoy. Dean Bell back to Arcoy. Can he do something with it? Smith. Looking every which way, but the Australian defence just holds.
Pressure. Real pressure on the Aussies now.
Broadhurst puts it on. Nice pass to Mark Graham. Nicely out to Kurt Sorensen. James Luluai scores the try. And the crowd goes wild as James Luluai moved back to fullback. After Gary Campbell came off the paddock injured, James Luluai puts first points on the board. The try scored for the Kiwis. 4-all.
Listen to the crowd.
To make it 6 with the conversion, and listen to that crowd go berserk. What a superb try. After they looked all the way as they were going to do something. Mark Broadhurst just delaying the pass to Mark Graham. Graham had Kurt Sorensen outside him, and then Luluai put into position, just had to dot it down. Nice finishing.
Here we come. Originated from a running fullback position from Luluai. The Kiwis switched twice. Have been left, now they're coming right again. Here they're backing up, out again. Here comes Luluai screaming up for the second time in the movement. Big hole and easy try. All instigated originally from James Luluai from fullback. Remember, the fullback is the only really unmarked man on the whole field. And if he can bob around and time his runs into the back line, as James Luluai just did.
We've got to change your kicker. This is Gordon Smith. And he's away to the left, as was Dane Sorensen on his last kick. So the scores are level.
Well, one try against 2 penalties.
23 minutes gone in the first half. Mark Broadhurst, a nice delayed pass through Mark Graham, through Kurt Sorensen, and out to James Luluai to finish.
There he is, James Luluai, instigated the try and finished it. So here he comes, he's attacked. Hello. Well, there goes the referee. He's going to call Wally Lewis out. I think it was elbow before the arms.
He's a strong man, Wally Lewis, and a very, very clever player. But that wasn't the kind of tackling that Robin Whitfield's likely to allow to go by. A little bit of elbow in there.
Lewis shaking his head, but it was most apparent.
Well, this Kiwi side will be fired up now. A lot of people have thought for a long time that James Luluai should be playing at fullback. Broadhurst still looking to get the pass away, almost did. Three on one to Dane Sorensen. Firing it out again, Ron O'Regan caught by Steve Rogers. Ron O'Regan in his first test. Steve Rogers in his 19th. Kurt Sorensen. Gary Prone puts it back. Kurt Sorensen. Mark Graham. Gordon Smith. Ducking out of the tackle. Broadhurst puts the pass up. Fred Arcoy can't hold it coming through. Peter Sterling gets it for Australia.
Oh, they're splitting them wide open just at the moment, the New Zealanders.
Australia in possession. See what they can tidy up, but the Kiwis certainly had them going backwards, and we're finding gaps in several places. Brentnell. Certainly been no shortage of energy in the tackles from either side. Max Krilich. Test player in his debut, Wally Fullerton-Smith, Queensland man. Included in the side through injuries, but had a big game at the State of Origin match. Bond from Brentnell. All the way trying to get under it, but...
Back to 1, the referee calls. It came off a New Zealander. Tackle count back to none.
So Australia again, dangerous. Steve Rogers. They've got to get up very, very quickly on Steve Rogers. So dangerous, given an inch to move. Sterling. Nippy little player who is Peter Sterling. Now only 7 metres out from the line. Wally Lewis gets the pass back. Wally Fullerton-Smith, and he's going to be over. No, he's not.
Last tackle coming up.
Only by inches. They've got to do something. Sterling trying to go himself. The little chip through. And it's out in touch.
Dead ball. 22-metre tap kick to the Kiwis. So that was a relief for them. A bit of Australian pressure there, but the Kiwis have held them out.
Well, what a way to go into the... Another breakaway from the Kiwis, running up the paddock beautifully. Gordon Smith back inside, but perhaps just happened a little bit too quickly for them.
That was a 60-yard bust by the New Zealanders from a normal tap kick. Wonderful football.
Gerard. So this Kiwi side with their tails in the air. They've scored the only try of the match. Dave Brown. Graham and Broadhurst, the tackles.
Well, there's a funny ruling. Mouth to the Australian and also not doing it properly. He actually, instead of mouthing off, should have played the ball. So the referee, quite correctly, gives the penalty for the mouth. Get on with the game, son, he says.
So right on the halfway line. Fred Arcoy to find the line, which he does very conservatively, 11 metres ahead. So the Kiwis once again with a chance to attack here. 6 tackles in hand. Dean Bell. Dane Sorensen.
You notice the splits in the forwards are starting to come for the Kiwis now. They're running it up and starting to split the Aussie defence. Ooh, not that time.
Gary Prome well caught that time by Paul Vorton. Kurt Sorensen.
Just notice that again. They're going forward now, the Kiwis.
In the early stages, it looked like they were making no progress at all with these little runs going across the field, but nowhere forwards, whereas now they're making ground.
Again, a query decision by the New Zealander after the original one and the mouth. So they lost another 10 yards. Very strict, this referee. Partisan crowd not liking it, of course, but he was quite correct.
The crowd don't like the referee, but he's been consistent.
He's done it for both sides. That's a fair crack of the whip.
Greg Brentnell. For Greg Brentnell, that's not a very good kick. Picked up nicely. Kurt Sorensen. Kurt Sorensen looking to bust the tackles. Dane Sorensen. Remember, Kurt and Dane and Mark Graham and Mark Broadhurst all play against most of these players in Sydney.
Beautiful tackle by Steve Rogers. That saved a very dangerous situation.
Fred Arcoy. Not looking as confident as we might expect Fred Arcoy. Kurt Sorensen. Licks it out wide to Dean Bell. Dean Bell well marked out there. Wally Lewis and Kerry Bowstead.
Notice the touch judge telling the Australians to roll off too.
Mark Graham through a gap. Nicely set up. Ron O'Regan. Mark Graham put Ron O'Regan into a half gap. Kerry Bowstead got across very quickly and covered.
6 tackles though on the Kiwis. They've got to give the ball to Australia.
So And now the toil ahead of them to try and keep this Australian side out. Australians won't like being one try down. Ron O'Regan's up there quickly and steals the ball. Kerry Bowstead wasn't fast enough. This is better play from the Kiwis, and once again they've got the tackles in hand. James Luluwai up. Steve Rogers again, good tackling. Wrapped him up. Gordon Smith. Wally Fullerton Smith, the tackler. Howie Tamati nowhere to go.
Not really good enough. They've got to keep moving the ball. They've got to probe with the ball.
Broadhurst, little double round, Dane Sorensen, but again, not well thought out. Broadhurst. Mark Graham was up there once again. Graham's been running off Mark Broadhurst very well.
Broadhurst must place the ball on the ground at the sixth tackle. He threw it away, and that's another really silly penalty. It's relieving the pressure on the Australians because we're in their 22.
So once again, a chance for Brentnell to make 25 or 30 metres for him, which he's certainly capable of doing, but he's been a bit conservative. That's out, 25 metres. Mark Broadhurst, the man who gave away the penalty. The Australians up very quickly. Eric Growth.
He's got a little bit of his own back then, Broadhurst, you notice?
Horton. Paul Vorton, the red-haired second rower for Australia. Dane Sorensen. Plenty of space there to run for the Australians, and once again, Dean Bell's going to steal it. Off Kerry Bowstead. Bowstead not having a good game. Shane Varley whips it inside again and right across. James Luluwai. Kurt Sorensen. Kurt Sorensen still gets the pass away. Not held by Gary Prome.
Went backwards, so play on.
Joe Ropati. Broadhurst. Sorry, Gordon Smith out there. Fred Arcoy caught with it. Dane Sorensen. Mark Graham. Sort of hesitated for a moment and then ran on.
6 tackles again on the Kiwis. They've got to release the ball, which he did.
That's 3 times in the game. Fred Arcoy was there very quickly, but Fred Arcoy's injured his leg. Kurt Sorensen being spoken to and being warned that he'll be sent to the sin bin for taking a man out of play. It's a bit silly. We'll have a look again.
It was off the ball tackle, actually, slightly late, and the referee picked it up.
Yes, he had actually passed the ball. I would think the last thing they want with 5 minutes to go to half-time would be any kind of physical violence in the side, when the Kiwis were really going so well. Australians right up now. Eric Growth. I think it's Max Krilich who was injured. Wally Fullerton Smith. Max Krilich, the Australian captain, it looks like he was injured. Kurt Sorensen took out of the game. Girard. Australians still trying for all their worth to get to that line. 10 metres to go. Meninga flicks it out. Dave Girard, Jeff Girard.
Last tackle coming up.
Expect a kick.
It's a chip.
Little chip through from Wally Lewis.
Wonderful take by Joseph Ropati.
So Joe Ropati
up there.
Joe Ropati hasn't seen a lot of the ball, but he's certainly looked confident when he has. Took that ball beautifully, giving possession back to the Kiwis. Good running, Kurt Sorensen. Flicks it back. Surely McCabe's offside.
No, it was passed back by a Kiwi. He's allowed to be there. It was their fault. But of course the tackle counts back to none because he did touch it. It was a stupid pass by Kurt Sorensen.
Brentnell.
Oh.
Well, Shane Varley did well to get there that quickly. He didn't quite hold on, but he did for long enough to Gordon Smith to get up and back him up.
Well, the Kiwis penalised this time for not letting the Aussies up to play the ball. As I said before, they must release them and allow them to play the ball, but he kept him down there a bit.
And Mal Meninga's going to have a shot. It was amazing how quickly Shane Varley got up there from nowhere.
Yes, that spoiled it a bit because Shane Varley followed up very well and very fast.
The Australians, I'm sure, while they'll take the 2 points from the kick if they can get it, will not be happy that the Kiwis have scored a try and they haven't.
Well, this is what Mark Graham, the Kiwi captain, said. To beat Australia, you score more tries than them. And at this stage, of course, it's 1 try to 0 to the Kiwis. But 1 or 2 foolish penalties have kept Australia in the game. The pressures have been even on both sides, though, really. They've both attacked the other's try line, with the Kiwis the only ones so far to breach the defence. And as I said before, the Australians very rarely give up a try.
So Mal Meninga with a chance to put Australia in the lead by 2 points. Opportunist up there was...
But fortunate for the Kiwis there, it came off the upright very high up. And Boosted, of course, they bring the wingers in from these long kicks, so they do the chasing. But he just knocked it on.
Kerry Bosted's just the man to do the chasing. So fast, as many Kiwis have discovered in the past trying to mark him. Shane Varley flicks it up. James Lulaway into half a gap.
He's having a tremendous game, James Lulaway, playing at the moment for the Hull club in England. But come home to represent his country.
Kurt Sorensen. Broadhurst. Smith. Back inside to Dane Sorensen.
Notice him throw 2 Australians in, of course. Tremendous strength, Dane Sorensen.
Mark Graham. Good wrap-up tackles from the Australians, stopping the Kiwis getting the ball away. Steve Rogers prevents the ball going out.
Knock on. New Zealand advantage. Rogers, of course, is the most capped Australian in the team and recognised as one of the world's best centres.
Dean Bell, again with the determined running, and Boosted has injured his arm. Gary prone, knock on by Fred Arcoy, touched by an Australian, regained by Gordon Smith.
Well done, Gordon Smith. He just didn't give possession away to the Australians then. He still got down on the ball and forced a scrum. But it'll be the Australian loose head and ball in from that infringement. But we're in New Zealand are in Australian territory. New Zealand hooker, feet up.
So dangerous is Steve Rogers. Every time he's had the ball, he's made a break of some kind. Wally Fullerton Smith. Max Crouch flicks it up to Gerard.
Knock on Australia. Relieved a little bit of pressure on New Zealand then. They were starting to look dangerous. Good tunnel at the moment. Shane
Varley to feed the scrum. They've got it. Shane Varley can't hold on to it too well. Trying to get around himself. Mal Meninga up very quickly. Shane Varley 5'6", Mal Meninga 6 foot. Joe Ropati, and there's the half-time hooter. with the scores levelled. New Zealand 4, Australia 4. New Zealand have scored a try, Australia have not.
What a wonderful half that was for New Zealand. 1 try to the Aussies 0.
2 minutes in, Mal Meninga kicked a penalty. 10 minutes in, Mal Meninga another penalty. 25 minutes in, James Luluai finished off a beautiful try set up by the Kiwi forwards, and the score's levelled at 4-all as they go in for the half-time break. And as John said, a superb half, commitment from both sides, and perhaps 1 or 2 gaps just starting to open up on that Australian side.
As I predicted a little bit, if we're going to beat them, we've got to beat them in the forwards. It's like any rugby union or rugby league type game. That's where you win it. I feel now that if we can come out and in the first quarter, or the third quarter I should say, keep pushing it forward and up the middle and making those holes are going to get bigger and bigger. But of course it will take total commitment from the Kiwi forwards to be able to do that.
Penalties have gone Australia's way 11-8. The scrums New Zealand's way 6-3. New Zealand has the only tight end scrum of the match. So Howie Tamati striking well. Howie Tamati recognised as one of the best hookers in the world. And he's not the only hooker in the side. Gary Prome can hook as well. Almost every position in the Kiwi side, as in the Australian side, can be covered by another player.
What a difference James Luluai has made, shifting back from centre to fullback because Gary Kemble was hurt early. And the first try was made up of 2 breaks by James Luluai from fullback in the same probing movement. First to the right, then firing it to the left wing, back again to the right with Luluai chiming in for the second time and going over close to the post. And unfortunately, of course, New Zealand have missed 2 easy penalties. Otherwise, the score would have been 8-4 at this stage. But that's football, of course. You've got to put them between the posts.
Now let's go down to Doug Armstrong.
Well, with me down here on the sideline or the touchline are 2 men who've been deeply involved with rugby league for many, many years. Former Kiwi Ken Sterling and former Radio New Zealand rugby league commentator in Ray Cody. I'm going to ask you first, Ken, of your impressions of the first half.
Well, Doug, I think we really have set the stage for a great second half here. The New Zealand team they came out fairly well fired up, and I think they made a few early mistakes which were fairly costly for them. They could have been ahead at the stage. The second half, the one thing that I feel they're going to have to tighten up is their first man tackling. They must take the Australians to the ground. They're starting to slip the ball away, which could produce some problems in the second half. But their attack, I think, once they started bursting onto the ball with some speed, has been very good. And I feel it was superior to the Australians in the first half.
Well, they did say, and it has been said, that this could be one of the most exciting and one of the most explosive matches of all time. And it certainly started very physically, didn't it? Yes,
it did. It started very physical. They got into their game soon after that, though, and I think we're going to see a lot of football in the second half.
Ken, you've played on this ground many times. Overhead, beautiful conditions, but that ground is a bit soft, isn't it?
The ground is definitely a little bit softer than it looks from the sideline. Slightly slippery footing for them, and I think by the end of the game they're really going to know they've run around this park a few times, because it does take a lot out of you.
Now, could this be an advantage for the Kiwis?
I think so, because Australians are more used to being on top of the ground. We've played in these conditions for quite a while, and I think our football is better adapted to it.
All right, Ray Cody, just let me first ask you before we get on to the match, have you ever felt an atmosphere like this for many years at Carlisle Park?
Only once in 1971, felt the same way then in that tremendous match then, which was, in my opinion, the greatest game of football I've ever seen.
Ken will remember that, wouldn't he?
Oh yes, it was his first test match, as a matter of fact, and it was he who put John Whittaker in for a beautiful try, and John Whittaker came into that team to replace Bobby McGinn, who was injured.
But, well, Ray, could we ask you on to this match and your impressions of the first half?
Well, 4-all at half-time, but the honours must be with the Kiwis. A try against 2 goals, and that's what the game is all about, is getting over the try line and putting the ball down, and they've done that. And they've done it simply because they've passed the ball. There's an old adage in football, you pass the ball to score tries and you kick to gain ground, and they've done that. They've passed the ball magnificently, run onto it. They've been there backing up, and their tackling's been absolutely out of this world. They're up against a side that's of great renown. They've marched through Britain and France without a loss, a tremendous achievement. And here they are on Carlisle Park, and they're looking ragged. The Australians are looking ragged, the Kiwis are looking good, and like Ken says, I think we're going to have a magnificent second half, provided the Kiwis can keep their feet on the ground and keep cool. I'm very impressed with the referee. I think he's tremendous. He's stamped his mark on the game right from the start, and the game has been clean. And that's what sport's all about.
Just one final question to you, Ken. What would your advice be to the boys for the first 10 minutes of the second half?
Tackling in the first 10 minutes is going to be the most critical thing in this game. If they can get up and knock the Australians down for 10 minutes, punch them right out of this game now with good, strong tackling. And then their attack, they've got their attack, they've had it in the first half, and I'm sure they can manage to keep that up, passing the ball and bursting onto it.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much indeed. Comments there from Ray Cody and Ken Sterling. Back to you, Tony Palmer.
Thank you, Doug. Let's just have a look before we go any further at some of the highlights of that first half. Remember, the Kiwis have scored a try, the Australians have 2 penalties, the scores are level 4-all. Dave Brown, the big 17-stone prop.
Same penalty against New Zealand, not 5 yards, the referee says. He wants room for them to work in, both these teams. If he gets it, of course, we'll get a real spectacular game.
Crowd a little unsporting, but the points are there, and Australia are on the board already with 2 minutes gone in the Test match. The Australians with a chance to right up and attack here. Greg Brentnell. Got to be in with a chance. Sterling still going. Still looking to slip the pass away, and he gets it out to Steve Rogers. New Zealand players really needing to wrap up those tackles. Sterling again looking to set something up. Howie Tamati hasn't, but he still gets the ball away. Dave Brown. Wally Fullerton-Smith, the Queensland man. Australians right on the line now. Gerard whips it out to Brentnell. Brentnell's well tackled. 3-on-1. First time we've seen Joe Ropati touch the ball, and that has got to be a try for Mal Meninga. No, it's not.
He is offside. He was in front of that little short kick from Peter Sterling, the halfback. It was a brilliant kick, really. But Meninga was in front of the man that kicked it, and the referee quite rightly has ruled offside.
James Luluai showing some of the speed he was famous for a few years ago. Ron O'Regan almost at the line. Ron O'Regan, and the Kiwis starting to fire. Shane Varley flicks it out. Gordon Smith through Fred Arcoy. Dean Bell back to Arcoy. Can he do something with it? Smith. They're looking every which way, but the Australian defence just holds.
Pressure. Real pressure on the Aussies now.
Broadhurst puts it on. Nice pass to Mark Graham. Nicely out to Kurt Sorensen. James Luluai scores the try. And the crowd goes wild as James Luluai moved back to fullback. After Gary Campbell came off the paddock injured, James Luluai puts first points on the board. The try scored for the Kiwis. 4-all.
Listen to the crowd.
To make it 6 with the conversion, and listen to that crowd go berserk. What a superb try. After they looked all the way as they were going to do something. Mark Broadhurst just delaying the pass to Mark Graham. Graham had Kurt Sorensen outside him, and then Luluai put into position, just had to dot it down. Nice finishing.
Here we come. Originated from a running fullback position from Luluai. The Kiwis switched twice. They've been left, now they're coming right again. Here they're backing up, out again. Here comes Luluai screaming up for the second time in the movement. Big hole and easy try.
Now only 7 metres out from the line. Wally Lewis gets the pass back. Wally Fullerton-Smith, and he's going to be over. No, he's not.
Last tackle coming up.
Only by inches. They've got to do something. Sterling trying to go himself. The little chip through. And it's out in touch.
Dead ball. 22-metre tap kick to the Kiwis. So that was a relief for them. A bit of Australian pressure there, but the Kiwis have held them out.
Well, what a way to go into the... Another breakaway from the Kiwis, running up the paddock beautifully. Gordon Smith back inside, but perhaps just happened a little bit too quickly for them.
That was a 60.
Back live now, waiting for the start of the second half. There's the try scorer for the Kiwis, James Luluwai, moved back to fullback after Gary Kemble went off injured. James Luluwai having a superb game. Dane Sorensen starts. Well, a fairly mediocre effort from Brentnell, who normally tries to do a little more with energy than that.
I think he's a bit sick, actually. He copped 2 or 3 hard tackles in that first half, and he must be feeling it.
Borton, nice pass up, lovely passing. Mel Meninga. Mel Meninga's the man they've got to stop. Good tackle from James Luluwai. Meninga is so dangerous. He's so big and strong and fast. Steve Rogers can't hold on to it, but Gary Prime knocked it forward.
Well, that relieved it again for the Kiwis. The Australians have started off with a hiss and a roar this half. This is what the Kiwis have got to do. They've got to get the ascendancy in this quarter. Very important. Pressure of Test football is showing now in this quarter. Referee not happy with the scrum, trying to settle it.
Ball has got to be rolled along the ground and must be hooked through the second row. Sterling. Brentnell.
Brentnell's definitely hurt. He's not happy at all.
Growth. Eric Growth, the big winger for Australia. And if Brentnell's hurt, the replacement may not be good news for New Zealand, because the back replacement's Mark Murray, who's a superb player. Anywhere in half a dozen positions in the back line. Dave Brown, the big man there, getting the pass away. Sterling.
Bit smothered by Gordon Smith.
The Australians up on attack. Wally Fullerton-Smith flicking it back to Wally Lewis. The Australians now looking to get a try. Brentnell, a little chip up. Luluwai's under it and safe. New Zealand back in possession. A bit of a respite for them. Roll party. Dane Sorensen still taking a lot of putting down. Howie Tamati having a little run. Kiwis are running it at them now. Gary Pro. Well, a little bit of the fire's gone out of that Kiwi side. Smith with a little kick through. And the Kiwis get it again, and Smith's on the burst. Harcoy inside him. Well, nowhere to go, but they make good ground. See what they can do with it now. Australians have possession.
6 tackle operating again. Possession back to Australia.
Wally Lewis with the break. So I thought the tackle count was back to 0 with an Australian having touched it.
I think he must have missed that.
Growth gets through. Row party.
Oh, there he goes.
Well, Growth is still on his way. Luluwai to beat. Luluwai brings him down. Back inside and knocked on by McKay.
Well, that shows the strength of Eric Growth from the Parramatta Club in Sydney. The strongest winger, they say, in the world. You could see him then break 2 tackles that had him right on the sideline, but he broke right through them. But a great tackle by James Luluwai, and fortunately a knock-on by Australia.
Almost looking like a certain try for Australia. Kiwis have the ball. Bali. Thrown. Looking outside and nobody there. Mark Graham. Hard tackle from Wally Fullerton-Smith. Harcoy puts it up. Growth's there, right on the sideline once again. Needs to be stopped. Jeff Gerard. Sterling. play the knock-on.
Knock-on, says the referee. You can see test match nerves now with both sides. It's a continuation of another struggle and a slight settling down period for the second half. Normal in test matches. But one team or the other is going to gain the ascendancy. But this first 15 minutes in this half is vital.
The injured man is Howie Tamati, who's the hooker. Now, he was injured a little while ago, just shortly after kickoff in the second half. He's the hooker and has been doing an amazingly good job as hooker. We hope he doesn't have to come off, but if he does, the replacement forward is Graham West, and in that case I would think Gary Prome would go into hook and Graham West in the second row, and Mark Graham in the back.
That's right. Look, Australia are ready to put on a reserve. Look like they might change Greg Bretton. Their substitute is on the sideline already.
Howie Tamati's going to continue. James Lulaway again looking fired up. He's running. This is the best game we've seen out of James Lulaway for a long, long time. Prome.
Oh, the bust was nearly there.
But Coy still gets his pass out. O'Regan. Dean Bell. Certainly got some pace as Dean Bell. Young 21-year-old from Auckland. Prome. Kiwi's starting to fling it about a wee bit more now. Starting to get some pace back. Looked a little slow as they started for the second half. James Lulaway nowhere to go there.
Kurt Sorensen hasn't got into the game this half yet.
Little chip through from Gordon Smith. Bowstead. Brentnell. And Brentnell is certainly not well. Greg Brentnell normally very, very fast and swerving in his run and normally makes yardage from a position like that. Krilich. Good tackle, Mark Broadhurst. Krilich plays it himself. Howie Tamati the tackle.
Come on, New Zealand!
Rogers. Nicely stolen. Gordon Smith having a good game at standoff. Fred Arcoy. Smith. Shane Varley. Prome. Roll party. Tackled by Steve Rogers. Little double round from Gary Prome with Shane Varley.
Backing up, not quite there at the moment from the Kiwis, but the holes are there.
Gary Prome starting to come alive though. Howie Tamati gets it back. Salvaged by Gordon Smith.
Good little tidier, Gordon Smith. Settles things down.
And there's Kurt Sorensen into the game for the first time, and James Lulaway almost through a gap. Well, they've got to come back, but
referee says all right, that he was offside. Very, very marginal, that one.
But James Lulaway running hot.
Have a look at this now.
Brentnell with the kick.
Comes Lulaway.
Well,
6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
Bit of a marginal decision, but they didn't score from it. Lulaway was certainly in there. Kiwi tackling still good. Sterling. McCabe. Flicks it back. Horton. Wally Lewis.
He's starting to become dangerous, Wally Lewis. That's the 5'8" for Australia.
Sterling. Peter Sterling's a nippy little player and a tricky player, but he's inclined to hold on to it occasionally, isn't he? Rogers.
It's what we call a crowbar in league. He won't let it go.
Brentnell. Wally Lewis. The kick. Dean Bell. Well, Dean Bell has impressed every member of the crowd here today, every time he's touched the ball. Flicking it on. Kurt Sorensen out wide. Gary Prome out there too. Prome running beautifully, and this is the form we saw from Gary Prome. We're Auckland against Hull just a week or so ago. And the Kiwis fired up now and flinging it around. Good pass to Mark Graham, ranging out wide. They've got something set up out of the Kiwis now. Beautiful running.
Oh, wonderful football. Wonderful.
Well, they're playing it quickly again, the Kiwis. Running beautifully in the backs. James Lillaway out there. Sorensen couldn't hold it.
Lost possession, unfortunately. Australia's ball.
And Rowe may just have injured Steve Rogers. Just having a look at the run again. There's Eric Grove.
There's a try.
And that's a runaway try to the big Australian winger. Eric Grove, 6'1", 15 stone, playing in his 5th test for Australia. The Parramatta winger and the biggest and strongest winger in the world gets a runaway try.
Well, entirely against the run of play, but that's football. New Zealanders had the Australian team on their knees with that 80-yard movement, but just shows you attack and counter-attack. That's the name of the game. And the Australians and big Eric Grove, the strong man of the Australian backline, of course, in strength, and he just powered through 2 or 3 tackles. Lualai just couldn't get him.
The only man who got near to getting a hand to him was Mark Broadhurst. It wasn't close enough, so runaway try makes the score. Australia 8, New Zealand 4, 10 minutes gone, second half, and a very easy kick for Mal Meninga.
Notice the way Eric Grove still scored the try after running about 80 metres. There's no flashy stuff with one hand. Fall over, cradle the ball, and score the try. True professionalism.
This is as simple a kick as Mal Meninga will ever get. And it's there. Australia lead New Zealand with 11 minutes gone. 10-4.
Well, New Zealand need a try now to get back into the game. Maximum score being 6 points from a try and a conversion.
You saw there that Mark Broadhurst was the only man really to get a hand near him. James Lutaway didn't touch him. Eric Grove so fast. And given the odd inch to move, he finished it off very tidily as well. A simple try once he got away for Eric Grove, and as John said, quite against the run of play. It's another look at it. Lutaway, he wasn't even within touching distance.
Starting to miss the odd tackle a bit. They've got to put them down first time.
It was a bit silly from Ron O'Regan.
A little bit of roughing up, which really wouldn't have done any good to the Kiwis anyway.
Once the man's tackled, there's not a lot of point in putting that in. Certainly not when the referee can see it. Very conservative kick from Steve Rogers. Australians, let's see what they can do with it this time. Brown.
Smothered well there. 3 Kiwi tacklers.
Pass almost going straight. Kerry Bowstead, the little speedster, flicks it back inside. Prome's there to cover. Rogers is tackled.
Mark Murray, I think, isn't it, the substitute?
It is, 14.
It looks like Greg Brentnell has left the field, the fullback for Australia.
You just see the 4 there. In fact, it is 14. Mark Murray, who's the replacement for Greg Brentnell. And a superb player, Mark Murray, in any one of half a dozen positions. Sterling flicking it on out. Steve Rogers. Rogers looking to put somebody else in. Kerry Bowstead. Nowhere to go. Shane Varley with a very cheeky tackle.
Crowd calling for a shepherd there by the Australians.
Pass went astray from Peter Sterling. And that one went forward to Mark Murray.
The build-up of attack starting to come from Australia now. New Zealand's got to cancel this out with decisive tackling.
Mark Murray, 23 years old, from the Redcliffe Club in Brisbane, 5'7", 12 stone, in his debut for Australia. Wally Lewis up very quickly on Gordon Smith. Gary Prone. Dane Sorensen. Well, it's starting to look a little bit like hard slog now for the Kiwis. They really need a try.
Got to try and break them in the next 5 minutes or so.
Broadhurst.
This is where you've got to pull that extra bit of adrenaline out.
Gordon Smith. Mark Graham. Putting Howie Tamati in.
Forward pass, he says again. Right on the spot, though. Howie Tamati offside from the pass, says the referee.
Pass certainly looked to go forward anyway.
Yeah, let's have a look at it. There's Mark Graham going through the gap, looking for Howie. Again, 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, but the referee is there.
Mark Graham looks dangerous every time he gets the ball. He can always find half a gap to put somebody in. Strange sort of a play from Australia. Jeff Gerard gets up with the ball. McCabe. Mark Graham tackles it just as the ball goes through. Steve Rogers holding on to it.
Bit of fun with two balls there. I don't know whether the right winger wanted to run with it or the left winger just then. Settle it down now a little bit.
He's the injured man there, just trying to see at the moment.
Come on, Shane, get him going.
Just the Kiwi captain's down or getting attention.
Yes, it is Mark Graham. Be a crying shame if Mark Graham had to go off. Let's hope he doesn't. Taking a knock on the head. Takes a bit more to stop Mark Graham than that.
Here's the head-on look at the scrum.
Shane Bailey. Kiwis have got it. A little double round from Gary Prome, but they had that covered.
They're trying to attack. James Luai's up in that back line at every opportunity now.
Kurt Sorensen.
Kurt's been very quiet this half. We need his explosion.
Howie Tamati loses it. Kurt Sorensen tidies up. Play on, says the referee. Broadhurst. Coming out Mark Graham this time.
Ooh. Very heavy tackle there from Paul McCabe. Mark felt that one.
Well, Mark Graham's not terribly sure where he is at the moment, I don't think.
That might have been a touch judge decision then. He'd been the closest. Of course, the touch judges in rugby league can come on if they feel that the tackle is excessive.
Just looking at it again. It was McCabe coming across the top after Wally Lewis already had him in. McCabe came across the top rather viciously. Wally Lewis had the tackle, then McCabe across the top now, and Mark Graham certainly felt it. His eyes were rolling as he went down on the ground. He doesn't look very happy at all, Mark Graham. Just have another look at it again. See Mark Graham try to dodge inside. Wally Lewis caught him and would have had him well held in the tackle. Wally Lewis was already bringing him down, and McCabe came across the top. Very, very physical tackle, John.
It's extremely hard, of course. It is a test match. It's not for the faint-hearted. But as I said before, touch judges have their duties to do at times too, and it was on his side, same angle as the camera.
Graham West's on the sideline. There you see big Graham West, 6'5" and 16 stone 2. He's the replacement forward if Mark Graham has to come off. By the look of him, he may not continue much longer. The Kiwis right up there. Sterling trying to tidy things up for Australia. 10 metres out. Certainly been a hard encounter. Meninga busting through the tackles. Meninga. James Lulawai finally brings him down with some help from Kurt Sorensen, but just showing how strong he is at busting through tackles, Mal Meninga. Gerard flicks it back. Mark Murray. Horton. Wally Lewis. Good tackle from Gary Prone. Wally Lewis was away and looking very dangerous. Paul Horton. Gordon Smith. Puts the pass up. Play on, says the referee. They're still going. Shane Varley back inside. Ron O'Regan. Another pretty rugged sort of tackle. Kurt Sorensen still looking pretty quiet, John.
Yes, he's not running with any power at all at the moment, Kurt Sorensen. Mark Graham being taken off the field.
Sad moment when the Kiwi captain leaves the field. And his leg is injured as well.
Yes, he got 2 injuries within 2 or 3 minutes then.
Let's see what sort of firepower Graham West can bring to the side. The biggest man in the New Zealand side. Max Grillitch away. Shane Varley holds him up. The Australians right up now, looking to attack. Mark Murray. Meninga waiting.
Because Graham West can't come on until the next stoppage of play.
Which is right now.
Obstruction by the Australians. Crisscross with the ball carrier running behind, forming the wedge so that the New Zealand tacklers couldn't get him. And here's the 6'5", Graham West, former New Zealand captain, now playing out of the Wigan club in England.
6'5" and 16 stone 2. Graham West, 29 years old, playing in his 14th test. He was so disappointed not to make the side in the first place in the original nomination. He'll be fired up and wanting to get right into the match. Dane Sorensen showing more firepower than Kurt has in the second half. Shane Varley flicking it on. West straight away into a tackle. Gary Prone. Tamati. Red Arcoy. The Australian tackling still sound.
Yes, the New Zealanders aren't running off the ball carrier at the moment. A little bit individual.
Dane Sorensen. Howie Tamati. Shane Varley flicks it out. Kurt Sorensen, keep it going. Untidy pass. Dean Bell picks it up. Trying to run it round, run himself back in. And good running from Dean Bell.
What a magnificent game the young boy's having. 6 tackle though, of course, he had to release the ball.
Australians up now. Bowstead, Rope, the other winger.
The big man running again, of course.
Sterling. Steve Rogers decides to try something else. Murray, tackled by Broadhurst.
We're into the final 20 minutes now.
Ron O'Regan right on the spot that time to take care of Mal Meninga.
Referee ruled he lost possession. Might have been a little Kiwi nudge there, I think.
Certainly looked like it. Bit of an opportunist tackle from Ron O'Regan. He couldn't have got there any quicker. Australia's got the ball. Tight head to Australia. Wally Lewis. Mel Meninga. Proving very hard to tackle Mel Meninga. A little bit of play going on off the ball there at the moment.
Shane Varley sticking to his task. Some torrid tackling at the moment.
McCabe running beautifully. Steve Rogers finishes it. And right behind the post. Well, the Australian pressure had to crack the Kiwi defence eventually.
Well, yes, the defence has been wilting for the last 5 minutes now. They haven't been making the tackles first up. Allowed that freedom.
A little bit of untidy play before it and quite a bit of play off the ball. See how it came. Paul Vaughton, a little double round with Krilic. McCabe up there running beautifully. Good pace and sets up Steve Rogers just hanging off to his right. And Steve Rogers goes right round behind the post to finish it and make the kick easier for Mel Meninga.
Here we go again. Max Krilic, the captain. Paul McCabe running on well. Drawing the defence. Steve Rogers never misses scoring a try from those positions. You give him 2 yards and it will be all over. Just showed his footwork then.
Mel Meninga puts the points there. No trouble at all with a kick like that. 16-4, Australia leading. 23 minutes gone in the second half. Just having another look at it. Set up nicely. Originally Max Krilic with a little double round. McCabe went in there. And Steve Rogers to finish.
Again, notice the footwork. Great Australian centre, Steve Rogers.
Well, in normal circumstances, this would put it beyond doubt for the Australians leading 16-4 with 25 minutes gone in the second half. 2 tries to 1.
It'll take a superhuman effort by the Kiwis now to score. About 16 minutes, roughly, of play to go. They have to score twice. The home crowd a little bit quieter.
Meninga. Paul Vaughton. Kiwis, when they get possession, have got to break that Australian defence. Really badly in need of a couple of tries. I'm sure the players on the field will know that it's not enough to stop Australia from scoring anymore. Looking it back, the other way, Mark Murray. Gert Sorensen, the tackler. Paul Vaughton. That's big Jeff Gerard. The prop with a little chip up, doesn't come off. James Luluai was up there to stop it. Ron O'Regan tidies up.
Play on. Charge down, of course, is not a knock-on, even though it came off the New Zealand arm. It's play on. Eventually the ball bounce back to the Kiwis.
Now the crowd really getting behind this Kiwi side. Mark Broadhurst. Graham West. Graham West in characteristic style looking to get that pass away, but the Australians know him well enough now and know to wrap him up. Gary Prone. Getting out of the tackle, getting the pass away. Gert Sorensen.
The Australians playing much more confidently now. They were shaky in the first 10 minutes, but that try and a good lead has given them that confidence.
Gert Sorensen with a big ball up. Sterling back there and quite safe under it.
Of course, remember Peter Sterling now, the halfback, has gone back to fullback.
Grillich. Murray. Back into Fullerton Smith. Big Dave Brown. Gerard. The Australian still looking to set it up. Mal Meninga in a gap. Gary Prone, the tackler, goes back to McCabe. Broke trying to get it. Howie Tummy steals it away from them. And New Zealand in possession.
What a crunch tackle there by Mark Murray, I think.
Good tackle. Broadhurst. Graham West in a gap. West. James Lillaway, the try scorer in the first half. Couldn't quite get the pass back to Joe Ropati, roping up behind him. The Kiwis right up on attack. West trying to bust his way through. Stopped.
Stupid,
well
get the ball out.
Trying to get the ball out this time. Can they finish it, the Kiwis? Kurt Sorensen way out there. There's Ron O'Regan. Dean Bell outside him. Switching direction. O'Regan plays it himself.
Last tackle coming up.
Dean Bell trying to go himself, decides to get the pass out. Shane Varley towing it through. They've got it back to Australia.
Knock on Australia, I thought.
Well, it's a bit more determined effort from the Kiwis with only 10 minutes remaining in the game, plus the kicking time.
Well, James Lillaway has shown he's just about the man of the match for the Kiwis.
Untidy tackling from Kurt Sorensen, Dane Sorensen.
Bit of tiredness creeping in now.
Ollie Lewis puts the big boot through. James Lillaway back there. Joe Ropati.
Two big men, Ropati and Meninga.
Good tackle by Meninga. Gary Prone trying to go it on his own.
They've got to spin the ball, the Kiwis. That's not doing them any good.
Kurt Sorensen running onto it. Really not throwing it around enough, the Kiwis. Fred Arcoy gets the pass up nicely to Gordon Smith.
Lost the ball. Australia's ball.
Ron O'Regan. Tackler on Wally Lewis. Sterling.
Little bit of aggro there.
Peter Sterling didn't look too bothered by it. Very cocky player. Very much in the same vein as Shane Varley. Well, that's a bit of a let-off for the Kiwis.
Yes, Australia trying to run around there, the double around as they call it, but mishandling.
Shane Varley gets it, gets the pass out. Gordon Smith, Lillaway up. Fred Arcoy, just back inside. Ropati. Hard tackle from Paul Vaughton.
Shows the fitness of the men. That tackling's been like that from the first minute and they're still doing it.
Graham West trying to get that ball out, but it was well covered, well smothered. Little double round, Shane Varley and Dane O'Hara. James Lillaway in the line. Dean Bell still going. Bundled out eventually by Bowstead, but certainly Dean Bell has had a superb game considering the man he's marking, the calibre of Kerry Bowstead, the man he's marked today.
What a wonderful first test debut for a 20-year-old. Well, two 20-year-olds on the wings, actually, for New Zealand. Dean Bell and Joe Ropati.
Shane Varley again, knocked down by Wally Lewis. They'll come back to the scrum.
Yes, but he stopped a very dangerous move there. Wally Lewis, very quick for a big man.
Shane Barley, since he came on, has had an excellent game at halfback. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be saying afterwards, why wasn't Shane Barley halfback and James Uluwai fullback at the start? But just the way the game has gone.
Away it goes. The referee not happy with the scrummaging at the moment. Ball seems to be getting out, but
Shane Barley, who hasn't made the provincial side this year, has not been playing for Auckland, but made the test side.
Referee call play on from that one.
Australia in possession. Wally Lewis keeping it out. Fred Arcoy tackles Steve Rogers. Rogers playing it himself. Gary Prone the tackler, but Rogers gets it away. Out to Grove. Grove Party makes sure of that tackle. Meninga. Gordon Smith goes low.
Notice the intensive backing up of the Australians. There's always someone to pass to. They back up consistently.
Good tackle that time by Fred Arcoy on the Australian captain. Big Dave Brown, a 17-stone prop for Australia. Hasn't had the most enterprising of first tests.
Two opposition props there, both wondering what's going on. The referee says, I'm going to scrum it. Not happy with the New Zealand hooker, the referee says. He must stay up. Penalty to Australia.
And that, believe it or not, is kickable for Mal Meninga. They're not going to, though. It's a scrum infringement. If they were able to kick, which they're not from a scrum infringement, Mal Meninga probably would have slotted that. Wally Lewis puts it out.
Now the tap kick, resulting from the penalty kick.
Gary Bowstead. Looking it on Australia, a little fumble there, and Graham West has got it for New Zealand. Dane Sorensen backing up is not good. Mark Broadhurst still gets a pass away, stolen by Gerard.
But one New Zealander wanted to run it up then.
Well, fitness is going to start to show now in the last 5 minutes of the match. Grillage, Gerard.
Not quite finding his support then, but again a dangerous run.
Mark Murray knocks it off. One or two mistakes creeping into the game.
Hello, another little bit of chit-chat from the Australians, which the referee doesn't like. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. It was throwing the ball away and not leaving it on the spot that he was at. So a penalty to New Zealand. Referee doesn't brook any of that sort of fancy stuff.
Fred Arcoy for the line. Very shallow kick. 10 metres.
Gotta give it back!
West. Some of the Kiwis hanging back a little now, not too keen to take it up. Looking it on. Gary Prone. Broadhurst.
Bit of stuff there. Another replacement. Pat Jarvis from Australia has come on. I can't quite see which Australian has gone off.
Eric Croth with a little bit of a stumble. Running it in now. And again proving hard to tackle. Steps out of 3 tackles, finally caught by Dane Sorensen.
6 tackles, I think, or is it injured? Yes, he fell very awkwardly in that tackle. They pulled him back again, and looks like it could be a hamstring or something like that.
Got a feeling, John, that it was before the tackle. If you have a look at the way he's running very awkwardly there. And without... He's stretching out all right. Must have been in the tackle.
That's his style of running, of course, like a horse.
Have a look again at the tackle. He stepped down of 3 of them. Kurt Sorensen eventually pulled him down.
There he is, brought back. It was Dane Sorensen, of course. He's tremendously strong. He's pulled him back, sort of over his ankle, etc. again, I think.
Let's have another look at it from a different angle.
Notice how he got out of 3 tackles already before the 4th.
My apologies to Kurt Sorensen fans. Of course, it was the elder of the 2, Dane Sorensen.
Australia, of course, have used up their 2 substitutes, and there is only 2 substitutes allowed in Rugby League internationals.
Well, he's been a strong man in the back line for Australia. Scored that runaway try. It's his ankle.
It's like he's staying long enough on to play the ball. If he didn't, of course, and had to leave the field, it would be a scrum.
Is he going to leave the field now, though?
They all do that. They play the ball and then limp off.
Run up by Dave Brown. Grillage. Looking at wide now. Sterling through to Wally Lewis. Off balance. Curt by Kurt Sorensen. Mark Murray. Grillage looking around. Horton. Still getting the pass up. Stolen there nicely by Fred Arcoy. Arcoy flicks it on immediately. Dane Sorensen.
He actually didn't have anyone to pass to on that stage. He had nowhere to go. He was in no man's land. No one else wanted it either.
Broadhurst. Deciding to take the action to Wally Fullerton-Smith before he was dealt to.
Penalty for the tackle.
Penalty to the Kiwis. Dane Sorensen puts the ball out. 10 metres again, very shallow. We've seen very little deep line kicking at all in this game.
Yes, they don't seem to be having a go at all.
Ropati running it himself, trying to. It's been well covered all game. Well, the dying moments of the game now as Gary Prone runs it up, trying to find a gap. The Australian defence is holding well. The game slowed down just a little. Gordon Smith. Kurt Sorensen can't hold on to it. The Australians have it. Diving through there.
Anyone's ball. New Zealand's got it. What a scramble.
Shane Varley it was that got in underneath. Kurt Sorensen busts one tackle, looking to get inside. Max Grillage. And Pat Jarvis and Max Grillage have it. Ron O'Regan in the tackle as he got the ball.
Tremendous tackle from Mark Murray then, the Australian substitute halfback.
Broadhurst gets it back. Graham West. West gets it back. Arcoy. Time up on the board now. Tackle Dean Bell on Peter Sterling. Now Meninga. The game starting to lose just a little of its lustre.
Australia playing it very quietly now. They only need to retain possession to win this game, and they're not trying anything particularly foolish to give New Zealand any chance whatsoever.
16-4, Australia leading New Zealand in the Test match with time up on the board. Girard flicks it back in the tackle. Vaughton picks it up. Vaughton tackle, gets it back. Jarvis gets it back. Steve Rogers. Rogers looking for space to move. Gets the pass inside nicely to Wally Lewis. Lewis still gets it inside. They can't hold on to it. Wally Fullerton-Smith. Back inside to Rogers. Rogers still going. Tackled eventually. Rogers holds on to the ball.
6 tackles, New Zealand's ball. They'll play it.
James Luluai. Kurt Sorensen.
Yes, Australia just content to tackle now. Just keep them out. They know what the scoreboard says.
And there is the full-time hooter. As the crowds run onto the paddock, Australia have beaten New Zealand in the first of 2 test series in the New Zealand 75th Jubilee Test Series. Australia 16, New Zealand 4. A great first half. The game lacking a little bit of lustre toward the end of the second half. A try 2 minutes into Mal Meninga, 2 minutes in, a penalty, sorry. 10 minutes in, Mal Meninga another penalty. The scores were equalised at 25 minutes with James Luluai's brilliant try. Then at 50 minutes, Eric Groth got a try. Meninga converted that. 62 minutes, Rogers got a try. Meninga converted that again. Australia 16, New Zealand 4. And looking at the penalty count at the end of the game, New Zealand 11, Australia 15. The scrums went New Zealand's way 13-5. An amazing performance by Howie Tamati. Tight heads 2-1 to New Zealand. And John Percival, the game really died a little in the third quarter. Well,
the third quarter was the vital one. Someone had to make the break, and it happened to be Eric Groth for Australia, and he did it individually. It was that sort of game at that stage. The 2 teams had almost cancelled themselves out, and it needed a superhuman effort from one person, and that person happened to be the left wing for Australia, Eric Groth, who ran through 3 or 4 tackles, ran 80 minutes, scored under the bar, and that almost set the seal on it. Australia then had the ascendancy.
Yes, I think that was really the turning point, wasn't it?
That was it, and of course Steve Rogers' try in the 62nd minute just put the icing on the cake.
Just have another look at Steve Rogers' try. Was nicely finished and nicely set up. Max Krilich, a little double round. Pass coming out there. And Steve Rogers really only having to finish, but he ran right around under the post to make the conversion easier for Mal Meninga, his fellow centre. And the Australians, when it came to the crunch in the third and fourth quarters, really ran away with the game, and the New Zealanders, despite their amazing performance in the first half, ran out of steam just a little towards the end of the game.
Of course, when we look back on a couple of things, James Luluai nearly went in with a try. Howie Tamati in with a try just prior to that Eric Groth thing. New Zealand could have won it, but of course were ruled offside in both instances, both marginal, but the referee was on the spot. But that could have pushed the game the Kiwis' way, but it wasn't to be. And Australia, of course, held on in that period and just came back with tremendous energy. Of course, they're a super fit side, and they remain the world champions.
Just looking at some of the players who made their debut today, Joe Ropati, a good game apart from one mistake. Dean Bell, a superb game. And Ron O'Regan was solid all day. Yes,
the first test boys acquitted themselves extremely well. The nerves must have been frantic for them, but they held on and all did their job. Dean Bell, of course, looks a winger of tremendous promise. He was marking Kerry Boosted, who's played in about 25 test matches, and I think the honours were with him on the day.
Let's just have a look right now at the highlights of this match, in which Australia has gone 1-up in the series by beating New Zealand 16-4. James Luluai showing some of the speed he was famous for a few years ago. Ron O'Regan almost at the line. Ron O'Regan, and the Kiwis starting to fire. Shane Varley flicks it out. Gordon Smith through Fred Arcoy. Dean Bell back to Arcoy. Can he do something with it? Smith. Looking every which way, but the Australian defence just holds.
Real pressure on the Aussies now.
Broadhurst. Puts it on, nice pass to Mark Graham, nicely out to Kurt Sorensen. James Lillaway scores the try! And the crowd goes wild as James Lillaway moved back to fullback. After Gary Campbell came off the paddock injured, James Lillaway puts first points on the board. The try scored for the Kiwis. 4-all.
Listen to the crowd.
To make it 6 with the conversion, and listen to that crowd go berserk. What a superb try. After they looked all the way as they were going to do something. Mark Broadhurst just delaying the pass to Mark Graham. Graham had Kurt Sorensen outside him, and then Lillaway put into position, just had to dot it down.
Lost possession, unfortunately. Australia's ball.
And road party may just have injured Steve Rogers. Just having a look at the run again. There's Eric Rowe.
Oh, there's a try.
And that's a runaway try to the big Australian winger. Eric Rowe, 6'1", 15 stone, playing in his 5th test for Australia. The Parramatta winger and the biggest and strongest winger in the world gets a runaway try.
Well, entirely against the run of play, but that's football. New Zealanders had the Australian team on their knees with that 80-yard movement, but just shows you attack and counter-attack. That's the name of the game. And the Australians and big Eric Grace, the strong man of the Australian backline, of course, in strength, and he just powered through 2 or 3 tackles. Lillaway just couldn't get him.
The only man who got near to getting a hand to him was Mark Broadhurst. It wasn't close enough, so a runaway try makes the score. Australia 8, New Zealand 4, 10 minutes gone, second half.
Shane Varley sticking to his task.
Well, that was the highlights of the match. The Australians scoring more tries on the day, and the Australians being able to finish their moves better. We were hoping to bring you in just a moment an interview with the Australian captain and the New Zealand captain. We're having a little difficulty with a camera at the moment, but John, in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, the Australians of note, I mean, all Australian backs have got to be notable players before they get in an Australian side to start with, but some superb performances from 1 or 2 of the backs there this afternoon. Wally Lewis, of course, always solid, always the good link man. Made 1 or 2 mistakes, but certainly overcame all of those with the rest of his game.
Yes, of course, Peter Sterling, the Australian halfback, is the linchpin of the whole back line, and he incessantly backs up and just spreads the ball, backs up and spreads the ball until the outsides come in. And of course, giving Steve Rogers any yardage whatsoever, and it's very dangerous.
Let's just have another look at the Australians' final try, and the try that really set the seal on the match in the end. Certainly was dispiriting for the Kiwi side, who had tried so hard up until then.
Shane Varley sticking to his task. Some torrid tackling at the moment.
McCabe running beautifully. Steve Rogers finishes it. And right behind the posts. Well, the Australian pressure had to crack the Kiwi defence eventually.
Well, yes, the defence has been wilting for the last 5 minutes now. They haven't been making the tackles first up. Allowed that freedom.
A little bit of untidy play before it and quite a bit of play off the ball. See how it came. Paul Vaughton, a little double round with Quilich. McCabe up there running beautifully. Good pace and sets up Steve Rogers just hanging off to his right. And Steve Rogers goes right round behind the post to finish it and make the kick easier for Mal Meninga. Back with us live now. We're about to go down to the Kiwi dressing room where hopefully Doug Armstrong will have Mark Graham, who's probably still a little groggy at this stage. We're still trying to get to Mark Graham. He took a very hard knock, John. Rather unfortunate for a Kiwi captain and a man of his playing ability to go off the field in such a way.
Yes, that was really when the Kiwis still had the pressure on Australia early in the second half, and it was a great blow to them really, because Mark Graham is acknowledged as one of the best captains and leaders in the world. And I thought, of course, that the tackle he received, the second injury that he received, was a little bit suspect and extremely heavy, but wasn't picked up by either the referee or the touch judge.
Yes, it was about as close to illegal as you can get.
Yes.
It was certainly done with the intention of softening up Mark Graham, because the tackle had already been made by Wally Lewis. Another player that I thought had a wonderful game today was Shane Varley. Amazing that he can't make the Auckland provincial side and playing today like a true test player. Yes,
that's true about the not being the Auckland halfback, but he didn't make himself available early in the season. And I think Graham Lowe perhaps coerced him out of retirement.
But Shane Varley back to good form today, an excellent game into everything. Now we're having some trouble getting to Mark Graham in the dressing room, but let's go down to the dressing room and Doug Armstrong anyway.
Well, I'm down here in the dressing room at the moment, just by the shower. A couple of the fellows are on there, including the Australian captain, and we've been trying to get at him, not in the shower, but to come to the camera to have a few words about the game. And unfortunately, Mark Graham, who was injured there about 20 minutes after the first spell, doesn't feel like coming out, and we can't blame him for that. But stay with us for a while. We may get a chance yet to talk to Max Crittets, the Australian victorious captain, and I'm sure he'll be not only pleased with his boys today, but very pleased for Arthur Beetson as well, because it was this first international for Arthur Beetson as coach of the Australian team. It's commiserations, of course, to Graham Lowe. He certainly worked his boys very hard indeed, but in the second half the cracks started to come and the Australians started pouring through. So we hope it's not going to be too long before we'll have the Australian skipper out of the shower and possibly... hello, we've got Graham Lowe here at the moment. So, Graham, commiserations to you. At half-time, all the crowd here were thinking there was a great chance for you, but the cracks started to come about 20 minutes in the second spell.
Yeah, we just couldn't finish off what we started. You know, I was a bit disappointed, but I think we probably made more breaks than what they did, but it was the old story we couldn't put the ball over the line, but you know, just mistakes and giving the ball away just cost us the game.
Well, obviously you're very disappointed. I mean, rugby league's a bruising game at any time. It certainly opened up in a very physical fashion, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I thought it was, you know, reasonably hard all the way through, but you know, Australia would just manage to put the points on the day.
At half-time you had the advantage and the I suppose one might call it the happy thought of actually scoring the only try of the match, 4 points all at half-time against their 2 penalties. What were your instructions to the boys at half-time?
Oh, basically just to get the act together, because we weren't playing we weren't playing to the match plan. You know, we went out to play a bit of a kicking game, but they were sort of getting a little bit hog-tied there, and they weren't kicking the ball. They were just handing it over to Australia. Well, that wasn't doing us any good.
I know it's unfair to pick out certain players, but one player that certainly impressed me as I was down by the sideline near the main stand after a couple of handing lapses. I thought Dean Bell played very well indeed.
Yeah, well, I thought all our young fellas for the first time up, you know, that just got thrown into the game. I thought I was pretty pleased with all the new caps and everything.
Well, Graham, okay, you're one down, but you've got a revenge coming up in Brisbane in a short while.
Yeah, well, we'll be all out to win that one, and you know, we'll make it a different story. Finish up 1-1, I think.
Okay, Graham, thank you very much indeed. That's Graham Lowe, who's the coach, the new Kiwi coach for this year. Who have I got now?
Australian coach.
Oh, the Australian coach, Arthur Beetson, Doug Armstrong. Very pleased to meet you too. And I'm just saying, really, that as far as Max was concerned, he would be not only happy for the boys, but he'd be very happy for you too, because this is your first international as coach.
Well, as it was, we got the right result, especially for me. I know Graham would be disappointed, especially the Kiwis. They played very well. Actually, they surprised me. We thought they'd play it up the middle a little bit, but they spanned the ball wide, and some of their new boys really starred.
Okay, thanks very much indeed for coming to see us, and we'll send back now to Tony Palmer and John Percival for their final summations of the game.
Thank you, Doug. Nothing more to add. Graham Lowe has said it all. All the people making their debut had an excellent game. On behalf of John Percival, my comments man today, good afternoon from Carlaw Park in Auckland.